appreciate you guys just joining in. This is really meant to be just an opportunity for me to hear from you guys on how things are going in this first month and a half with distance learning, and just offer kind of a sounding board. And if there's any specific questions, I can definitely answer those too. There were a few people that had submitted some questions on the doc. So I will go over those first, and then I'm happy to just kind of let people share. And I can't promise that I'll have every answer, but Shelly is my little co-host today, and she'll keep notes if there's anything that I can't answer, because I will do my best to get the answer and get back to everybody. We are going to record this just so we can send it out to our school community for those that weren't able to join, in case they want to watch it as well. So one of our first questions we got asked about was, someone mentioned that they are seeing some other Catholic schools in the area that have started to open for grades K through 3, and they are wondering how they're able to do that. So I can provide some light on that. So Oregon Department of Education has a policy they put in place right before the school year started, and it's called limited in-person instruction, and it's for during distance learning. And what it is for a plethora of reasons. There's about 10 reasons why. They are allowing you to have small groups of cohorts into your school for no more than 2 hours at a time, and the cohort sizes cannot be larger than 10. So there are many models that some schools are doing if they're using this. So you might hear from one school that their child gets to go in once a week for 2 hours. You might hear that a school has their child going in 2 days a week or all 5 days. It really varies kind of based on the school population and just feasibility of whether or not they can make it work. So that is the reason why some people have been in the building. The main reasons why we have not chosen to go in that direction at this time, we have used it for just a few things, and pretty much that was for our one-on-one time with our K through 5 parents and students. When you guys got to come on campus and meet with the teacher, that was through this policy. And then for our middle school, they were allowed to come in for Renaissance testing, as well as K through 5 for Renaissance testing using this policy. So that's how we have used the policy so far. We have not chosen to use the policy in a full kind of scheduled format, mostly due to safety. It's still really unsafe with the case loads just still kind of spiking, that it's just really still unsafe for our staff, for our students, and for families. So first and foremost, it's been safety. Second reason is because we really wanted to establish a really strong distance learning model that was sustainable, that was in well practice within the students and the parents, so that they knew how to do it. Because at some point, if you do enter the building and there is a case or things like that, you have to quarantine for 14 days. And so then you'd have to go back to distance learning. So we really felt like we really needed to have a strong distance learning model where kids knew what they were doing online, as well as teachers. And so that's kind of the direction we have taken at St. Rose right now. We are starting to have dialogue about what it might look like to have some opportunities for the limited in-person, but right now it's just dialogue. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And in connection with that, somebody asked about Jogathon and just said it was a wonderful event, which it really was. I know anybody that made their way to their playground, it was just heartwarming to see families and to see kids and to see everybody just out enjoying each other's company. And it was a beautiful day. So someone had mentioned about limited in person for that. So I did send out a parent feedback form today. I'll send it again on Friday just to get as much responses as we can. But this is a parent feedback form that's broken up between a K-5 model and then the middle school, so we can get some really, really good feedback from you guys as parents as for how things are going. And one question we do ask in the form is if you would be comfortable with having your child come back in the school for a limited in-person instruction. So there's a yes, a no, and an unsure. So that will also give us an idea of what families might be feeling, because the thing we need to make sure is equity, and not everybody might be able to come into the building for safety and health reasons. So we also need to make sure learning's happening for those kids that aren't able to be in the building. So it's a lot of pieces to the puzzle to make sure that it all works out. So any questions on that anybody wants to just ask more about? You're welcome to put questions in the chat or also just unmute yourself.
This is Peter Wojcicki. Hey there. At the Jogathon, I was surprised by the number of people there and outside. Are there limits for gatherings outside like that we may have been brushing against?
Very nervous as well. Yeah, we were honestly, we had no idea that, I honestly didn't even think people would come. I kind of thought it would be the staff kids that would show up during the time because they knew we were there. So we were blown away. In reflection, it probably would have been better practice to put some caution tape on the playground, and maybe just have made it more just you're actually going to the station and doing the activity, because there was a lot of mingling and staying for long periods of time. But I was really impressed with how great everybody was with wearing their masks. But we probably were over the limit of how many people you should have. Luckily, in our defense, we didn't really plan it as an actual event where everybody would come, but we would have to be better with planning it if we did something like this in the future to make sure we were not disregarding any policies that had been put in place.
I was just curious. I mean, we had a blast. I mean, we were there for a while and just, it was great seeing people and talking. And yeah, everybody was well behaved is the best way to, maybe the good phrase. And so it was just great having it, but just trying to figure out what those limits are and being able, if we have another event, being able to do it, and maybe it's, grade levels or something like that, that you kind of time slot it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you very much for that feedback. All right, no more questions on that. Okay. So there's only 2 other questions, and so I will share those. And then honestly, I just would love to hear if anybody has anything on their plate that they would like to share. Somebody asked about an update on anti-racism training and possible changes to the curriculum. Right now, what, in case you're new to our school too, what had happened since last spring is the faculty decided to really look at ourselves and grow in our own knowledge on being advocates for anti-racism. So we decided 3 books that we really wanted to look at that we thought would be great professional development for ourselves. So the staff chose 3, and then each staff member got to choose which book spoke to them the most. And they read it over the summer. And then we also all watched a documentary called 13th on Netflix. And I am in the process of meeting actually with my principal advisory council, which is a team of 4 teachers and myself. We're meeting this Wednesday to just kind of organize what our book club is going to look like, so we can start having the dialogue about our own growth in this area and how it will look to support our students through this really important topic. So that's kind of where we're at right now. We have created a race and anti-racism Google folder that everybody's just putting a bunch of stuff in that they've been locating and finding from other teachers or just online. And so we have a lot of resources in this folder that this committee is also kind of going to go through and kind of help support the teachers on how lessons can be taught in the class, just to support whether that's reading various stories and dialogue and questions in answer time. And then The other big part that was asked in this question was about possible changes to the curriculum. At this point, that's not something that I can do. That's driven by the Archdiocese of Portland, the Department of Catholic Schools. So it has been a topic that has been shared with them from all of us principals, that we really want some great curriculum guidelines for this topic. And so they're kind of in their beginning research stages of figuring out what support they might be able to provide us as a diocese. So if there's any questions about that, feel free to put them in the chat, or you can let me know. And the last question was actually a question I submitted. So I would love to get everybody's feedback. I want to know, just how is communication? Are you feeling totally overwhelmed? Way too much? You get emails all the time? Too little? I'm hoping not too little, because we've been doing a lot, I feel like. But what's the best way, teachers, the office staff, how we can get you guys information that's simple, concise, straight to the point, easy for you guys to look at and get what you need to know. You know, there's just so much information that we have had to share, and I can assume that it's probably been a lot, especially if you have more than one kid, because you're getting emails from the homeroom teacher as well as the office and stuff. One particular area we tried to consolidate is we're going to have Mrs. Randazzo just send an email every Monday letting you guys know who's in charge, who's coming for material exchange, rather than all the teachers doing it for their class and you getting, if you have multiple kids, getting all these emails and trying to keep track. So that's one thing. But I would just love to hear how things are going with communication. Thank you, Andrea. Too much better than too little.
Oh, I guess I'll speak up, because I know when I'm busy teaching middle school, I hate looking at avatars and muted buttons. I appreciate the amount of communication, and I think it's concise. I mean, we only have one teacher this year, but I'm feeling pretty good so far.
Great, thanks, Dave. Yeah, Tyler.
You know, we've got 2 kids, so we're better parents probably than Dave, but you know, we're not Radigans either. So it's, I think it's been great this year. I've been doing most of the classroom management this year, and I think in full disclosure.
Yes.
And communication is clean, it's concise, it's appropriate in volume. I'm not disappointed or overwhelmed at all with what's going on there.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler. That's great feedback to hear. Yes. Go ahead.
From our front, I agree. So I think it's been great. I think the Mary's email was super helpful, because there's kind of like the weak, the high level, the mid level, and I still think all of that is perfect. But today was kind of the like, and remember tomorrow this. So getting that like just day before or day of that reminds you what was on the week. And then I can't speak for every classroom and every teacher, but I do have to say for 4th grade with Miss Blair, she's been incredibly responsive to the kids posing questions in the homework. So it's really been helpful for me to have the discussion with him and say, well, go ask Miss Blair this, because it's real-time response, which helps. And that was really improved over, I think, last year, where we were just getting our footing, I think, last year. But it's made them, you can hold them more self-accountable, I think, because they have that quick communication.
Great. Thank you.
The links have been accurate most of the time in the emails, and that is a life-saving improvement over last time. And that the links are somewhat consistent is huge. My 3rd grader is completely independent. I have no idea what he does during the day, because he insists on wearing headphones and doesn't like me in the room, but his work is done. And then the kindergartner, we get one email for the day and all the links are reattached. And so I just refer back. On occasion, there's something that slips through that comes through an email, but the parents in both these grades have a WhatsApp stream for the help, where's the link, help, what's this, help, what are we doing? Are we supposed to be doing anything? Are we on break? And so the parents having that emergency lifeline to each other is also been awesome.
Oh, I love that. That's great that parents are teaming up. And feel free, Mrs. Rendazzo and I are in the office too. So if you're just like, I don't know what's supposed to be going, we have everybody's schedule, so we can always help. I have access to everybody's Google Classroom, so I can jump in and see. And also just really encourage you guys, if you have tech questions, to reach out. Dan, Mr. Wojtek is available every Monday and Thursday for an hour in the morning, just for tech questions too. But thank you, Teresa. Yes, Jen.
My only struggle has been if there's a change in the schedule during the day, and the teachers have a huge strike zone and are totally fine if our kindergartner skips a art class or something. But if there's been a change during the day and we're not necessarily getting those emails in real time, that's the only thing. So the communication's been great. Oh, darn it, my video. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
My
Little
back on?
choppy, but I am getting the most big parts.
All right, can you hear me? So anyways, during the, just if there's a, sorry, if it's this time of day with our internet. So if there's a mess during the day that's urgent, and just didn't give out that.
Got it. It sped up really fast at the end, but I still understood, I think, what you said. Thanks, Jen. All right, well, those were what was submitted. So the rest of this time is really just to allow for you guys, if you have any questions or just feedback or insights, I'm happy to hear them. Yes, Lisa.
I really appreciate the material pickup. It's really nice not to have to print so much stuff, and we can just go pick up what they need, and it's all organized. We put it in their folder or help them put it in their folder. That's just been great. So thank you.
Does everybody feel like the times are okay? Like just like a 30-minute in the morning and then a 30-minute in the afternoon? I mean, we're available for you to always swing by the office, and Mrs. Rendazzo can hand it off to you at a different time if that time that week didn't work. But I had heard All Saints, I mean, they also are double in size, but they have like a 1 to 7 p.m. time on a Wednesday. And I was just like, oh my goodness, that's a really large amount of time. And I was like, we only offer an hour, and that's in 2 separate 30-minute chunks. So I just wanted to make sure everybody felt like they could make it to those material exchanges.
I think the short times are fine, because if we can't make it, there's somebody who lives near us who will pick up the packets for us. And it's been, we all are watching out for each other there. Awesome.
And like I said, you can always email us in the office, and we can always set up a different time for you to pick it up too.
I'm curious, how busy is the morning? Because like our kids they're barely out of bed to be in front of the computer and being done with breakfast now. It's like, I can't imagine getting there to go pick up stuff early.
Not as many people use the morning time, that's for sure. But I think a few do right before they might have to go into work, and they just do it on their way, and then they give it to their kids later. Michelle asked about Renaissance testing. So yes, you will receive Renaissance testing assessment results at parent-teacher conferences next week. And Dave, is there a consideration for 5th graders to have access to Gmail? There hasn't been at this time, but I can write it down as something to think about and to explore with Mrs. Groven.
Does middle school use Gmail?
Yes, middle school has access to email.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, then I second that suggestion, Dave.
Yeah, like I said, I might kick myself on that, but where the positive side I see is, I know with Grace, we try to encourage her to be proactive and a part of her education and to reach out to the teacher. But I also know that that could really distract some kids too.
I'd say that it was a new, exciting thing, and it led to more screen time because even on the weekends, I'd rather check my email. It's like, no, you don't. Step away from the computer. So I think that is a hard transition to make as a mom of a sixth grader and experiencing it this year. And maybe it's just, it's dependent on each child, right? And it's just this new, exciting thing.
Definitely, we have found with all tools, you definitely have to teach appropriate use. I know that in middle school, Mrs. Fisher intentionally did lessons on how you email a teacher, because you get weird questions and they don't, or they don't ask a question and it doesn't make sense. And so like just kind of teaching those tools to fifth graders would be something we definitely would want to do. And then we have tutorial videos for how they can learn how to access it. But I'll have a chat with Mrs. Groven and see if that's something she feels like would be a good enhancement for the fifth grade. You guys can also just have your beverages and just hopefully have some quiet time right now too if you don't want to talk. Sometimes it's nice just not having to talk. I get it. But if there are any questions, comments, oh, Jen, how are the teachers feeling? I think well, actually, I don't know how you guys would expect how they're feeling. So, roller coaster is the best way I can explain it. I think there's moments of, oh my gosh, I'm in the groove. I like this lesson, I nailed it. Everything's going great. And then 2 hours later, you can be brought back to reality and you try something and it was a bummer, and it's same with like in classroom stuff. I think the most heartbreaking thing for the teachers is you get so much fuel and energy from the kids. And that's, that's my passion is students, obviously, but like, that's why teachers became a teacher, was because of the kids. So it's really emotionally draining to just see them over screen and not be able to help them as fast as you would, or go over and have a quiet conversation with them when they're struggling, rather than being on, the screen. So I think if anything, it's just really hard because they want to be there for each individual kid and they just can't in the way that they would want to. So they're doing the best they can. But it can be very difficult when you see, kids struggling. And, we know the parents, you have so much on your plate too. So it's just trying to support you guys and what your different home lives are like. So definitely highs and definitely lows. I try to have them very well fueled with treats and food. So little things that are great. And we have a lot of time that we established for grade level meetings. So like our K through 2 are meeting weekly to collaborate and meet, and then same with 3rd through 5th and then middle school. So I think it can be isolating being in your classroom, all by yourself all day. So we're trying to have lots of times to collaborate with each other.
I'm glad you asked that, Jen, because I've wondered, Miss May is emailing us at 9 o'clock on a Friday night, and Miss Groven, I just worry that it's not sustainable because this is so different than the springtime. So, appreciate it all and it's great, but I just hope I don't want them to be overwhelmed and exhausted throughout the whole year, Yeah. So.
And that's definitely my number one thing right now, is really helping to support the teachers and to give them grace on things and be like, that's not something you need to worry about right now. Trying to cover things for them, like I can do that, things like that. But I think they're people that love your kids and they love you and they want to figure out the best way to support you. And so, knowing that maybe you're a working family that doesn't get to email until 5 p.m., they want to get back to you because they know the next day you can't check your email. So I'm definitely going to keep working with them just to set reasonable boundaries, because they need to rest and have their own time and get off the screen as well. But they're definitely their heart is in the right place. But yes, Lindsay, like you said, it can be draining.
I think since we're recording this, I want to do some shout outs for our teachers. Shout out. So I'm very grateful for Ms. May. She's communicating like amazingly well with us. As a lot of people have said, it's a lot and we can't keep up with all of it, but I'd rather have it than not. And even if I'm reading it later, it's stuff we can get back to. And she's super patient and she is so positive on the calls that sometimes I don't want Caleb to be wearing his headphones because I'm like, I want to hear that positivity. I need more of that in my life. And so she's so great. And then I just want to say about all of the junior high teachers, kind of like what was said earlier about like, Lucy's in 6th grade and she's kind of doing her thing. And I don't know, it seems like it's getting done. So it's fine. If you know Lucy, like whatever, we're not too worried about it. But the bigger point is I can tell that she's like challenged and like growing in her independence, but also really supported along the way, especially for these circumstances. That's kind of just at all of the middle school teachers. Like I feel like it's the right balance right now. So just wanted to shout that out to the 4 teachers that we have our main interaction with in our family. So thanks to all 4 of them.
Awesome. Yes, Lisa.
I was along the same lines that Ryan. I was going to say that Miss May has the patience of a saint, because Christine, you saying that you can't just go and just talk to, whisper to students. Like Cormac just keeps wanting to tell her something, and it's like totally a non sequitur. It has nothing to do with what they're talking about. He was dying to tell her over the weekend. And she's like, okay, buddy, go ahead. And then he'll say it. And I was like, oh my gosh, buddy, let her teach. And it's just so sweet. She's just so patient. And I do think that office hours for middle school has been just such a great thing, that they can get on there and ask their questions. That's been awesome.
Awesome. That's great feedback to hear. We're actually hearing that quite a few kids are using the middle school office hours. So we're finding that to be helpful. I'm not sure how effective the K-5 are. So that's asked on the feedback I give. So if any of you in the K-5 have any feedback about office hours, that would be helpful to hear. Yeah,
I had a Mrs. Beatty shout out for I love that woman. I don't know how she does it across the screen either, because Pete was all upset about he had ripped his paper, and I was like, "Wah!" like flustered trying to help him, and she was just like, "It's cool, like it's all good," and it worked, and I was like, "Can you just always be on our screen?" So, anyways, shout out to Mrs. Beatty.
Woo! Awesome. Thanks, Drew. Dave, did you have your hand raised?
I did. This is my natural look after a stressful day at work and a run and drinking a kombucha. But I guess something that I've been talking with some other parents, and not just St. Rose parents, but being mindful that our teachers and I guess our parents too are giving kids some grace and allowing them to have fun and enjoy school. We send our kids to St. Rose, part of it for the academics, part of it for the social issues and so on. But I just worry that our kids, some of our kids are going to start to have a negative look at school. So just encouraging teachers, and I don't know, I guess if my 5th grader didn't get some things this year, but enjoyed the year, I would be okay.
Thanks, Dave. Anyone else? Thank you, Danielle, for your information about office hours. That's very helpful to know.
Sorry, that wasn't meant to not chime in. I was just figured I'd put that there for you.
No, that's perfect. It's nice to be able to go back to stuff. So, well, Jogathon, I know the actual event itself was phenomenal, but we are raising way more than we ever thought we would raise. And it's just, I mean, it's a testament just to our community and everybody's incredibly generous hearts and spirits. I will be taped to a wall on Thursday, duct taped to a wall. So I'm having fun with people telling me little scenarios that I should be doing on the wall, and the little pre-Kers are telling me they're going to come visit me because I'll be lonely by myself on this wall. So look for that video because that'll be super fun. And then it's still up in the air for who's going to pie Mr. Marino in the face. We'll probably do that next to me while I'm on the wall since I'll need some entertainment. But so thank you guys all for all your help with the Dogathon. It was fantastic, and huge shout out to Kelly Milana because her first year by herself was last year, and now all of a sudden she's got in a groove, and then we're like, well, it's gonna be virtual this time, do something totally different. So she like cruised with it with the help of Megan Schubert and did phenomenal. So that was super great too. So thank you all for just your participation with that. We're hoping that not having wreath and poinsettias as another fundraiser just right off the bat will just hopefully be a nice break. And then we'll just get in contact with people as we decide what a spring fundraiser might or might not look like. Does anybody, since I have such a captive audience, I'll just ask questions. Does anybody have any thoughts of how we could make Parents Club a thing with virtual things, whether it's for you guys as parents to have community within each other, or activities that they could do that's kind of family oriented. I know that's an area that everybody loves, is those moments where you get to spend time with each other. And with new families, it's been something that's been weighing on me. How do we get them to make sure they feel involved and included like our community? But if anybody had any Parents Clubs ideas, let me know.
John's telling me not to volunteer, but
Lindsay has an answer, everyone.
no, I don't actually. I
Go
don't know. No, I just thought that was funny. I had to share.
I was actually
volunteer for anything if you just have an idea.
Yeah, what could that look like? Now I don't know. I mean, we did a second grade mom Zoom a couple weeks ago just to get to know the new moms, because I'm so many new families we don't even know. And that was fun. It was nice, just an hour. So it could be something like that. Just
yeah.
I don't know.
We had I had heard from another school. It's too late now and with timing, but we were trying to think of what maybe a different holiday. They did like a pumpkin carving contest, and it was kind of brought to you by Parents Club, and it was supposed to kind of be a family thing that you could, you know, paint or carve a pumpkin, depending, just decorate a pumpkin, and then you could submit it, and then there was like grade level prizes. So I had talked a little bit with like Shelly and Megan and Mary about what it might look like to do something maybe during the Advent Christmas season, and maybe you know, wreath make, or not wreath because that'd be hard, but like ornament making, or a nativity scene made out of gingerbread. I mean, there could be some fun activities for like families to do at home, but then it could be kind of a community type thing too as well. So just if you have anything, please do not feel like any suggestions stupid, because we're all in this together of just figuring out creative ways. So all right, I'm just going to check the chat here. Ooh, awesome. Got some ideas. All right, Lindsay, you're in for doing everything. All right, well, I don't want to have you guys have to be on the screen if you don't have to be. So is there anything else that anybody has on their mind that they want to share before I close it down?
Oh, I know our metrics are far away from any sort of hybrid. My family in California is having all sorts of trouble with a hybrid learning, and then teachers going on leave of absence or quitting, and all sorts of different transitions happening within that school. The distance learning, I appreciate all the teachers have put in, and I don't want to lose any of the teachers or change any of their transitions. And we're nowhere near metrics for hybrid learning. And I'm okay with that because it's crystal clear and cut. It's hard. It's not easy. It's exhausting, but I feel like my kids are learning really well here.
Oh, thanks, Teresa. I know, I mean, if I can say anything to you guys that then hopefully you can say to other people is just, there's no reason why we do not want to do a limited in person at any, we love seeing your kids. It has nothing to do with that. It's really what's just sustainable to keep in place for everybody, and what's safe. And everybody is in so many different situations with, if, they have someone at home who has health issues, so I don't want it to become this, oh, these students get to come in, but then these students can't. Why aren't you coming in? And that kind of thing. So there's a lot of elements to it. That's definitely why it hasn't been something we've done super quick by any means. We really wanted to get distance learning to be as structured and successful as possible. We know there's still areas to grow in, but in comparison to the spring, I think we've made a lot of good strides and have a lot of good things in place. And so we want to just keep building upon that. And then when things continue to get safer, really look at making sure everybody can come to the building and come to the building safely.
I appreciate hearing that, because I want these people out of my house as soon as possible, but it makes so much more sense when you put it that way, so I appreciate all the thought and care behind it.
Just a reminder, this is being recorded, so I'm sure those words won't be used against you in the future at all. So
I want them out of my house. I think they can hear me.
Well, is the limited person something that we could potentially do with the younger grades? Is that being looked at, like similar to the metrics, being able to do it with younger grades? Because I think that there's a big difference for a lot of parents with the middle schoolers on online versus the younger students on online. And I know I'm not speaking for all parents, but I do really think that especially in the kindergarten, first, second, they're really losing a lot being on online. And I understand about the safety, and obviously that's paramount, but is that something that's being looked at?
That's actually where the conversations has been starting. It's been with our K through 3, and it's been because of the K through 3 metrics being different than the 4th through 8th. So it would definitely be that group that we would be looking at coming in sooner over the 4th through 8th. So, yep, you're right on, Denise. And we know, the instruction, like you said, is just so different for the younger grades than the older grades. And as much as we can say we want to balance screen time, it's difficult when you're learning online. So it's hard. So we're going to continue to kind of figure out how to balance less time on the screen, but still getting good instruction. Because that's the fear, is that you give a kid something, they go off and do it, and then they're doing it wrong for 25 minutes. And then you don't know until the next day that they did it wrong, and then you're kind of playing catch up. So some of those live times with teachers in the younger grades, it has been, instruction at the beginning, and then time to work while the teacher's still on the screen, so that she can kind of try her best, or but to check in to be seeing if kids need help. Because I know some of you, I've been jumping on different Google Meet and Zooms. I know sometimes there's a parent that's like right next to them, and then sometimes there's a parent who's in a totally different room. So there's a lot of factors to look at when they're doing their live time. Oh, I like the Advent scavenger hunt idea. I'll have to save all these comments. Okay, well.
I have one thing really quick. Sorry, I just would love to put a plug in for utilizing like a breakout room opportunities and really getting some peer learning, or doing even like social opportunities in like a peer group, and the teacher can kind of move around. I think it would be great to just not only hear from their teacher, but to also kind of get some peer-to-peer collaboration or something like that going.
Awesome. Well, we have found, just for that note, we are really trying to streamline a lot of things. So that's why we all moved to Google Classroom for this year. One of the things we found is we all everybody uses Zoom in the spring. And now that we've moved to Google Classroom, it's a really nice feature having on the kind of title banner of the classroom, having the Google Meet just be there to be able to easily access it to get on a Zoom call versus sending out a bunch of different Zoom links. But what we have found that's a downfall in Google Meet is right now is that we don't have the capability to do breakout rooms in a Google Meet. You can do it in a Zoom. And so we just purchased a trial for what should get us access to be able to do breakout rooms in a Google Meet, but it's under a different educational. I won't bore you guys with all those details, but we're looking into it so that we can use it and then we can do more of those things. Because I know PE's done it with a few classes to try it, test it out. And I know there's a few teachers that specifically do lessons using Zoom on certain times so that kids can be in breakout rooms. But that's kind of the real reason is Google Meet does not have that capability that we have under our kind of licensing. But we're also going to start talking about small group instruction, trying to kind of break up groups into smaller cohorts for digital time. So your child might, like for a math day, they might be meeting with Miss May at 11, but then another student might not be meeting with Miss May at 11, so they can do more individualized group instruction for differentiating for leveled groups. So that will also be something you'll start to see too. Things just take us a little bit longer with distance learning as we learn all the tricks and trades of everything.
I know Angus has done some breakouts because it's like a group of 4 of them. It sounds like social. I'm working, so I just overhear, and it sounds like social studies or something. So I don't know if that's official or if they're just doing like a study group or not, but it seems to work, and they're very good about, okay, we have 2 minutes to get back on the other thing, and okay, bye. So anyway, that seems to be working out well, and I don't know what it is, but
no, you're right. Well, sometimes specifically puts a Zoom link in her Google Classroom that will say social studies join here, specifically because she wants to use breakout rooms. So it will just be practice with the kids of not being in the routine of, oh, I just go to my Google Meet every time. No, you got to look at the stream. Is there any message? Okay, there's not, or yes, there is.
Interesting. I had no idea. I just overhear.
Maybe my next principal chat will do it with you guys, and I'll put you guys into breakout rooms and you guys can just have some social time, and I won't be there and you can say whatever you want. And then I'll just pop in, all of a sudden you'll just see me. That's how it works. You'll just see me and I'll just be like, hi guys. So we'll see about that. All right. Well, I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you guys have evenings to get to, dinners, hanging out with your kids, but I really appreciate your guys' time, your positivity, your just kindness. You guys are amazing. I mean, I know our community is special, but more and more, just when we have moments like this, it just reiterates all that. So you guys are loved, you're appreciated. Your teachers are really excited to meet with you guys all one-on-one next week for conferences. That'll be another great opportunity for you guys just to kind of share what's going on personally at home so that we can keep working to best educate your students. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you so much.
Bye, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Good to see you.
Thanks, Ryan. Guys. Shelly, is there a way I can say, file to save the, okay. I wanted to save all the